Hi, this is Seth Plunkett. I work with the data and testing team in conjunction with the technology department to help bring 4J staff this exciting new software called Hoonuit. This video is intended to provide new users with a hands-on introduction to Hoonuit's My Classroom portal. Okay, let's jump right in. You should have already viewed the overview of My Classroom slideshow, which describes the steps required to log in. Just as a reminder, what we need to do is navigate to 4jdata.net and then enter our Synergy username and password. This will take us to the Overview dashboard, which is our default home page. Each dashboard is composed of several charts, including graphs and tables. For our purposes, we're going to refer to these individual dashboard objects generally as metrics. We're going to use this page to investigate some of Hoonuit's important tools. You'll find the dashboard navigation buttons at the top of the screen. As you can see from the highlighted text and the orange bar, we are on the Overview dashboard of the Summary tab. If a tab has more than one dashboard attached to it, such as Summary, you'll see a submenu. In this case, it includes Overview and Attendance. Here's the Attendance dashboard. And now we're back to Overview. Other tabs, such as the Student Data Wall, have only a single dashboard, so you'll go straight to that dashboard rather than having to select an item from the submenu. Just a note as you follow along, some dashboards and metrics are available only for certain grade levels. For example, elementary teachers won't see the Student Marks or Early Warning tab in the menu. Let's look at some of the tools we'll have available to us. The first ones are the global tools in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. For the moment, we're going to skip the User Tools button on the left. The middle icon is where you can log out of a session. Then the question mark on the right is Help. This takes you to a menu of short videos supplied by Hoonuit. They're not specific to our district, but they do give a solid overview of the basic functionality of the site. Okay, let's now look at our dashboard tools, which are these three dots you'll find in the upper right portion of the screen. Here, you can set the page that you will arrive at when you first log in by selecting Set as Home from the Home settings. Now let's say there's a specific page and cohort you'd like to track. You can save a page, including its filter settings, as a favorite. Now I can access that group from my Favorites menu, and I can even change the name to be more specific. I could also use the Copy Link function, which saves our filter settings for sharing or later use. Okay, let's see what other tools we have available to us. At the top of the dashboard, we have the Filter Data button. To understand and control which students you're looking at, you'll be using this menu frequently. The first thing to be aware of is how to identify our current filter items, which are displayed just below the Filter Data button. We can see that there are three default filter items selected for this particular page. There are three types of filters to be aware of. The first type can't be changed. For teachers, there are three of these filters: district, school, and staff name, which we can see here. This becomes obvious when we hover over the little X for each filter item. Now let's look at the two other types of filters. We'll navigate over to the Summary Attendance dashboard. Here you'll see a new filter item, Year. On pages with a year filter, a value is required, but we have the option to change the value. Let's go to that Filter Data button now, and we can see the year filter item. Let's select 2018-19, and then just click the menu, and Hoonuit will recalculate all of the metrics on the page. You can also see now that the year filter value at the top of the dashboard reflects this change. The final type of filter item is one that can be added or removed. Some of these filters allow us to add multiple values. For example, we can add 2 grades. We can then remove one, and it will recalculate. And then if we remove that one, it will now show us all students. Let's now have a closer look at what our filter options are. As I said before, these first three filter items are fixed for teachers, but you do have the option to select a specific class, one or more grades, ethnicity, gender, SPED status, ELL status, and student groups. The student groups are worth investigating. There's a bunch of them, including chronic absence level cohorts and certain student programs. If there's a specific cohort that you would like to track that you don't see in this list, let us know. If that data is available to us, we can add that group. Or you can create your own private group, which we'll look at more closely later. Okay, let's now look at the metric buttons. When you hover over any metric, a set of 3 dots will appear in the upper right corner. Click this button to access the Card Tools menu. The first menu item, User Tools, allows the user to see the database query that underlies the data we're visualizing. Send To gives us download options. We can export the data from this metric as a PDF, CSV, Excel, or PNG file. The final menu item is the pop-out window, where you can view an enlarged version of the chart, see the data in a table, and view the definitions for the metric. The definitions are where to go if you're not entirely clear on what a chart is actually displaying. We're working on making these definitions clear and explicit, but please let us know if something is vague or potentially misleading. Okay, now we're going to look at one of the unique and really cool features of a data dashboard, which is the ability to drill down. Drilling down means moving from a higher to a lower level of granularity. We can do this by clicking on a value or a portion of a graph or an underlined field. For example, let's look at our chronic absence levels metric. When you hover over a portion of the pie chart, you'll see what's called a tooltip, which is a box that summarizes the data within a specific portion of a graph. Sometimes the tooltip gives us additional info not visible in the chart, like the number of students at each chronic absence level. Now say we wanted to see a list of our students with less than 80% attendance. We hover over the portion of the graph and then select it. And here's our list. We have a number of columns, including basic demographic info and also some attendance-specific info. We can drill down again to see an individual student profile. But before we do that, let's look at what we can do with this list. First of all, we can download the list as a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, or a CSV file, as we did earlier for the dashboard metrics. We can filter columns. Say we wanted only the students with 5 or more absences. First, let's remove the attendance less than 80% filter. And we can now see the attendance data for all of our students. Then if we hover over the column header for the number of absences, select greater than equals from the drop-down menu, select the value 5, and now we have only those students with 5 or more absences. You could sort the values, ascending or descending, by a specific column simply by clicking the column header and then clicking it again. We can also drag around the columns and change their order, or we can remove them. Something to keep in mind is that if we decide to download this data, the filters we added will get translated to our download. But if we move or remove the columns, the download doesn't reflect this. You'll have to do this in your spreadsheet software after you've downloaded the data. So there are probably a lot of situations where you'll want to download the data into a spreadsheet and then manipulate it a bit further from there. As an aside, if you'd like to learn more about using Excel to transform your data or merge data from different dashboards, contact us at data@4j.lane.edu. Okay, let's drill down on one of these students now. We can do this by clicking anywhere on a specific row. This opens the Student Profile Overview in another tab. When we're done looking at that student, we can close that tab, and our student list will be there for us in the original tab. But let's return to that student now. We can navigate through the student profile with the tabs at the top of the screen. You can find specific dashboards on the students' attendance, both daily and period, their class schedules, enrollments, discipline, program participation, marks, standardized test scores, and this last one, detailed history. This one gives us a pretty good snapshot of the key performance indicators for secondary students. It includes their diploma type and their essential skills status, course breakdowns, failing grades, etc. Okay, that's all we're going to cover today. I highly encourage you to explore all of the dashboards in my classroom. Again, we welcome your questions and feedback. Please email us at data@4j.lane.edu. And thanks for watching.